someone did comment a specific book that they wanted me to read. I cannot find that comment anywhere. So if you are watching this and it was your comment, please let me know in the comments below the story, and I will make sure that I do it in a future video. Okay, let's get on with the story. So this story is called Orlando the Marmalade Cat. Orlando the Marmalade Cat, a camping holiday. Orlando was very beautiful, striped like a marmalade and the same colour. His eyes reminded you of twin green gooseberries. He and his dear wife Grace had 3 kittens, the tortoise-shell Pansy, Snow White, Blanche, and coal-black Tinkle. Orlando wanted to take his family camping, but his master said, "Think of the mischief the mice will do if you go away." Orlando told him he must have a holiday. So master said he would think about it. He walked up and down the lawn, thinking deeply, anxiously watched by the cats. At last he went indoors and telephoned for a pale green tent, and they knew he was going to let them go. "Now, my dears," said Orlando, "I have written a list of things we must take with us, and as I read it out, you must collect them, and I will pack them in the car." Grace and the kittens did as they were told. When everything was ready, the kittens put on goggles to keep the dust out of their eyes. Grace wore a hat and veil because she hated to have her whiskers blown into 6s and 7s by the wind. Orlando took an eye shade only because he liked to travel light. "Now we're off," purred Grace with a sigh of pleasure. She was glad to get away from housework for a real holiday. After motoring all morning, the cats felt hungry and stopped at a farm to have a drink of milk. The farmer's wife said they could sit against her hay rick to eat their sandwiches. "But no smoking, mind," she said, "or you will set the rick on fire." After the picnic was over, the cats set off once more, each kitten with a bar of milk chocolate to lick. "Now we must find a good camping place," Orlando said. "It must be near a stream, but not in a swamp, of course." They found a patch of high ground, flat as a table and dry as a bone. It was a perfect spot for the tent, beside a stream full of little fish and clear water to drink. Wild orchids and mushrooms grew in the grass, and there was a farm nearby where the cats could buy milk. "Fish for dinner," purred Grace. "Eggs for tea," mewed Pansy from a treetop, where she had found some in a nest. "And water to drink," sneezed Blanche crossly, for she had fallen into the stream. "First we must pitch our tent," said Orlando, with his mouth full of tent pegs. "Then we will have tea." The tent was soon up, and Grace made the camp beds while her dear husband lit the stove. Pansy laid the table. Blanche dried herself, and Tinkle licked the butter when nobody was looking. Just as tea was over, the sky suddenly grew very dark, and the cats could hear thunder growling. 3 heavy raindrops fell on their noses. Plip, plop, plop. Quickly they carried everything into the tent. "Nobody must lean against or touch the inside of the tent," said Orlando, "because that will make the rain come right through." To keep the kittens happy until it was fine again, Orlando taught them how to play cat's cradle with pieces of string. Soon the storm was over, and the first rainbow that the kittens had ever seen appeared in their build and arched across was what rainbows always did, whether it was kittens or puppies who chased them. It was now bedtime, and the stars and moon shone brightly. Orlando sprayed the inside of the tent with insecticide to get rid of the gnats, which had also crowded in to escape the rain. The kittens shut their eyes tightly to protect them from the spray. The cats went to bed, but the kittens were so wide awake and excited at sleeping in a tent that Grace had to sing them a lullaby. Orlando's tail gently beat time under his blanket. The birds that came out of the tent quite scared the grasshopper, beetle and caterpillar, and even the odd owl in the tree was rather alarmed. Early next morning the sun shone, warming the grass and drying the dew so that the cat's paws didn't get wet. But the lazy creatures didn't wake up till quite late when an enormously loud voice bellowed, "Milko!" 3 times at the door of the tent. It was the milkmaid with milk for their breakfast, a pail hung on one of her horns and a stool on the other. Orlando and Grace knew how to milk a cow, and soon the pail was full. After breakfast, Orlando took Tinkle to the stream to teach him how to catch fish. He crouched on the bank and tickled the surface of the water with the tips of his whiskers. Lots of sleepy little fish swam up from their beds to catch what they thought were delicious flies dancing on the stream and tried to gobble them up. But they weren't flies at all, only Orlando's whisker tips. He quickly and cleverly scooped some of the fish out of the water with his paws and took them home for Grace to fry. When the cats had finished breakfast, they did the washing up and then set out on a day's walk, each with a rucksack filled with fish and egg sandwiches. About midday they came to a mountain stream, and Grace helped the kittens on with their bathing pants. They all dived in except little Tinkle, who was frightened. He rode on Orlando's back instead and pretended to be a catfish. All cats can swim, and soon he was as good at it as his sisters. There were all sorts of interesting things in the water, some of which they ate, and they chased the water boatman who hadn't had such fun for a very long time. Then the cats ate their sandwiches. After a rest, they climbed further up the mountain, which was steep and stony, with lots of striped and furry caterpillars. If the kittens hadn't already had such a good meal, they might have eaten the caterpillars too, but more out of friendliness than hunger. All at once they heard a sheepdog barking at them. Quickly hiding behind some stones, they fluffed out their tails and hung them over the tops. The dogs could only see the cat's tails, and mistaking them for furry caterpillars, he went back to his sheep. The danger was over. Purring happily, they went on their way. It would have taken most people a whole day to climb that mountain, but the cats, being such good climbers, were at the top in a jiffy. All the same, they were rather out of breath, so they lay down to rest. There was a glorious view of mountain tops and the sea with the ships sailing upon it. Orlando took several photographs. It was getting late and the sun went down. Tinkle, being tired, rode home in Orlando's rucksack. The next morning the milkmaid awakened the cats again, and after breakfast Orlando said he must go to the post office and send Master a telegram to say they had arrived safely, and would he please forward any letters to them at their present address. Grace stayed behind to tidy the tent and make the beds. Orlando and the kittens went to the village. While Orlando wrote the telegram, the kittens chose picture postcards for all their friends. When they had unstuck the stamps that would get out on their whiskers and fixed them on the postcards instead. They popped the cards in the letterbox and drove back to the camp. The kitten spent the afternoon painting at the view from the banks of the stream, and very good pictures they were. Pansy's was as nice upside down as right way up. Meanwhile, Grace prepared the supper. "Tonight we'll have a sing-song around the campfire," said Orlando, and the cats collected enough sticks to build a huge bonfire. As soon as it was dark, they lit it. You couldn't tell which were sparks and which were stars. The sky was so sprinkled with both. Orlando played the banjo and Grace the harp, and the kittens joined in with trumpet and drum, concertina and cymbals. What lovely music they made! When it got late and the fire burnt low, they went to bed with their whiskers singed and smelling of wood smoke, but very happy. Every day Orlando thought of something different to do. They played at acrobats among the treetops. They drove to the sea in the car and picnicked in a ruined castle. One evening they went to a fair and came home laden with all the prizes they had won. When the holiday was over, they struck camp, which means to pack it all up, and came home to Master. He measured the kittens against the wall and marked their height with a pencil to see how much they had grown during their holiday. "And now back to work," purred Orlando as he chased away all the impudent little mice in the house. Okay, that is the end of the story.